Hi everyone. We have a great lesson for you today. It's an absolutely key lesson in the mind training of A Course in Miracles. It's lesson 153. In my defenselessness, my safety lies. Because everyone here is walking around defending themselves, right? No one but walks this world in armature, right? That's why everyone here is afraid. Why? Because they think they're being attacked, right? So they're defending their thought system. I mean, turn on any video on your social media, everyone is defending their thought system, right? Because the moment you're no longer defending your thought system, you would have to admit that you do not know who you are. Now, listen to the first line of this lesson. It says, "You who feel threatened by this changing world," and you do, right? Let's be honest, you do. "Its twists of fortune and its bitter jests, its brief relationships, and all the quote unquote gifts it merely lends to take away again, attend this lesson well." Right? So he says, pay attention, right? Pay attention because you rely on all these, you're looking for safety, but you notice that constantly all your sources of safety are, you can't count on them, right? For a moment you find it, then you lose it again. He says, attend this lesson well, the world provides no safety. Right? You can't find safety in the midst of war. You can't find safety in the midst of attack. And this world is what? Next line in this lesson. It is rooted in attack. If this world is rooted in attack, how can you possibly find peace here? You can't. And all its quote unquote gifts of seeming safety are illusory deceptions, right? You rely on your healthcare, you rely on your money, you rely on your job, you rely on your relationship, you rely on your possessions, and so on, and so on, and so on. And those things you think are going to give you safety, provide safety. And he says they can't because they're not real. It attacks and then attacks again. No peace of mind is possible where danger threatens thus. He says you can't find it here. Right now, remember, when we say here, we mean this world. And what do we know about this world? What have we accepted? What have you learned? Right? It's not real. Right? It's a projection of your own mind. You can't find safety where there is no reality. Only reality provides perfect safety, correct? So you can't find it here. It's not here. So everyone here is looking for it, and no one finds it. And that's the human condition. I love this. It says the world gives rise but to defensiveness, right? Everyone here is defending themselves, right? Well, I got my convictions, I got my ideas, I got my, the things I believe in. And that's why you can't find peace, because none of those ideas are true. For threat brings anger, and anger makes attack seem reasonable, right? Why wouldn't you attack, right? Why wouldn't you be angry? You're being attacked all the time. Right? That's the condition of the world. You're a victim. Honestly provoked and righteous in the name of self-defense. Yet is defensiveness a double threat? For it attests to weakness, right? Why would you be defending yourself unless somehow you thought you're being attacked and the attack is real and you gotta defend the thing that, needs to be defended because it's weak. And it sets up a system of defense that cannot work. Now are the weak still further undermined, for there is treachery without and still a greater treachery within. The mind is now confused and knows not where to turn to find escape from its imaginings. Right? This is the human condition. This is the condition of the world. Right? This is what you're trying to escape from. This is what you're trying to undo within your belief system. I love it. It says defenses are the costliest of all the prices which the ego would exact. And when you read ego, think me, right? There's not your perfect whole self and your ego and then you in the middle, right? You identify with your ego. It's what you think you are. In them lies madness in a form so grim that hope of sanity seems but to be an idle dream beyond the possible. I love it. And he's tough on this lesson. He says, you are its slave. You know not what you do in fear of it. You do not understand how much you've been made to sacrifice, who feel its iron grip upon your heart. You do not realize what you've done to sabotage the holy peace of God by your defensiveness. I love that he's just confronting you, right? Because if you think you got it all together, you think I understand this. You have literally no idea what you've done, right? In your defensiveness, in defending yourself against the love of God. Hmm? And then he goes on. He says, defenselessness is strength. Defenselessness is strength. Defensiveness is weakness. That's how this is, right? Don't defend yourself. Stop defending yourself. What are you defending yourself against? I don't know. I'm being attacked. Really? Says who? Right? So again, it goes back to your belief system. You think you're being attacked, so you're defending yourself. How about questioning that premise? Maybe you're not attacked. Maybe you're completely wrong. What would happen if you stand there for a moment in that uncertainty and stop defending yourself? Perhaps you will recall that the text maintains that choice is always made between Christ's strengths and your own weakness seen apart from him. I love that. Right? You're always making that choice, but you're making it so fast that you're not even aware of it. But every single moment, you're making it for that choice between strength and weakness, between defending yourself and not defending yourself. Amazing. And it says, we will not play such childish games today. Right? Stop playing these childish games. For our true purpose is to save the world, and we would not exchange for foolishness the endless joy our function offers us. Okay? I love it. He says, if you fulfill your function, endless joy is yours. And this again goes to some of the earlier lessons where he says your function and your happiness are one. If you fulfill your function, you'll be happy. You cannot not, because it's the only thing that will give you happiness, because that's literally what happiness is. We look past dreams today and recognize that we need no defense because we are created unassailable, without all thought or wish or dream in which attack has any meaning. Right? Instead of defending yourself, you're going to look for the peace where it can be found, for the rest where it can be found, which is in source. And the moment you got that contact with source and you're resting in source, you're no longer defending yourself. Why? Because you're not attacked. Right? Again, it's always has to do with your perception, right? You think you're being attacked, so you start defending yourself. Once you rest in source and you're no longer defending yourself, you no longer perceive yourself as being attacked. Why? Attack is impossible. You cannot be attacked. How is that even possible? Right? It's the way you perceive it. Now we cannot fear, for we have left all fearful thoughts behind. And in defenselessness, we stand secure, serenely certain of our safety now, sure of salvation, sure we will fulfill our chosen purpose as our ministry extends its holy blessing through the world. What an amazing idea that you can let go of all your defensiveness, all your ideas of attack. Another lesson is this: I can escape from this world by giving up attack thoughts. Right? It's the same idea. But escaping from this world is not what you think it is. It's simply the correction of all illusions. That's what it is. It's simply the miracle that intercedes between your thoughts, that brings about that correction of thought that is necessary to experience the peace of God. Remember, heaven is not a state nor a place. It's an awareness of perfect oneness. So through the undoing of your false thought system, what is being restored is the realization and the awareness of what you are, which in its totality is called what? Heaven. Heaven is all around you, sleeping ones, right? As he so beautifully puts it. It's not somewhere else. You are in heaven. You're just asleep. So it's simply waking up to what you are. One of my favorite lines in the Course in Miracles in this particular lesson. And it says, salvation can be thought of as a game that happy children play. That's what it is. It was designed by one, listen to this, because God's will for you is perfect happiness. It was designed by one who loves his children and who would replace their fearful toys with joyous games, which teach them that the game of fear is gone. I love that. That for a moment, when you accept your function, right? Your final function here on earth, right? That at that moment, you're simply being happy and, right, with your brother and simply resting and in that thought. See it as a game, if you will, right? His game instructs in happiness because there is no loser. Love that. Everyone who plays must win, right? Not here on earth, but at the end of time. Love that in your function. And in his winning is the gain to everyone ensured. The game of fear is gladly laid aside when children come to see the benefit salvation brings. What an amazing idea, right? He says, "You who have played that you are lost to hope, abandoned by your father, left alone in terror," right? You think you're separate from Source. You think you're left to your own devices here, right? You think that you have to provide for yourself, right? No, you've never were separate from Source. You're just misaligned, right? So now in this miraculous spiritual awakening that many of you are undergoing out there, right? You will let yourself be aligned with truth. And in that truth is the realization that what? You're not lacking anything, that you're not being attacked, that you're whole, that you're perfect. And in that is the end of all necessity to defend yourself. Because what? What would you be defending yourself against? Hmm? We pause but for a moment more to play our final happy game upon this earth, and then we go to take our rightful place where truth abides and games are meaningless. Love it. You play a game of fear, and yet, how about we change that for a game of happiness? So is the story ended. Let this day, today, right here, right now, bring the last chapter closer to the world that everyone may learn the tale he reads of terrifying destiny, defeat of all his hopes, right? All his defenses is but fantasy, are but dreams, right? None of it is so. None of it is so. Again, you're dreaming. None of this is real, right? And we keep emphasizing that because it's something you constantly tend to forget, right? You think you're sick, you think you're separate, you think something is being done to you, and you constantly forget that what? None of it is so. What? All things are lessons God would have me learn, right? There's so many ideas and thoughts that you're being handed in this mind training of A Course in Miracles that you can grab hold of to remind yourself all throughout the day that what? Can you see? That's your awakening. It's that shift in mindset. It's that adaptation of the thought system that A Course in Miracles sets forth that brings about in you that peace that you've been looking for, that rest, that certainty, that joy, that happiness. Because what? It's what you are. It's what you are in truth. You are that. So, what you seem to be bringing about in your spiritual transformation is simply an undoing. Everything that's not true is being undone in you and will fall away and makes room for what is true, for what has never left its source because ideas leave not their source. And hence it resurfaces within your mind and you become that. Because what? Everything else is being undone, right? Everything that's not true is going to fall away. And that is fearful because it means you're going to have to stop defending your thought system because none of your thoughts are so. Anyway, if you have a moment today, read this beautiful lesson, lesson 153 in the workbook of Your Course in Miracles. In my defenselessness, my safety lies. Fabulous, fabulous lesson, but also a key lesson. I love you wherever, whenever you are. Have a great, great day, and I'll see you everywhere.